Hi.
Hi.
We are Natalie and Gianfranco from the pastoral team at Christ Church, and we're so glad to be able to share this time together. And as we come to the end of our year commitment here at church, to share some of the lessons we've learned during these months here with you.
Our first lesson, connection is worth it. It may sound odd to say that being connected to each other is worth it in a time where we're all connected to our devices. But there is some wisdom in that phrase. During this year, we have learned that relationships are important, no matter what we use to connect. Being part of a community helps us stay healthy, seeking God and following His path together. We need each other to motivate, give advice, and sometimes correct us. Let's open our needs and doubts to one another. I'm sure you will feel lighter and more whole when you receive that containment and support. When I was a shy teenager, my dad would try to encourage me by using an adaptation of a known saying. "You're only going to blush once," he used to say. This phrase makes me think of all the times I may have felt nervous or embarrassed to go up to somebody who I didn't know or who didn't know me in church. Someone perhaps completely different from me. But this year, we have learned to embrace the awkwardness, that discomfort you may feel when you don't fully understand someone's accent or you don't speak their same language. It's incredible how, as we step outside our comfort zone, we open ourselves up to amazing possibilities for connection. Leaving our comfort zone for the sake of someone else changes everything. You become an others-centered person, as we say here at Christ Church. When in doubt, lean in. In embarrassment, lean in. In conflict, lean in. I'm sure you will be able to hear the words of Jesus resonating in your mind. Come and follow me. Lean in to those who are different. Stretch yourself to break through your paradigms. I can assure you that you will discover we have more than one thing in common. That's part of our identity here at Christ Church. Open your heart to those who are different. I promise you will find a friend for life and maybe even learn a little bit of French.
Lesson number 2. We aren't in control of anything except how we respond. 2020 proved that none of us are in total control of our own lives. We are living proof that what is said in James 4:13 is true. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. That verse shouldn't depress us. It should show us the reality of who we are as human beings and help us to think of what things we do have control over. Instead of letting life happen to me and grieving the loss of total autonomy and total control, I want to make the effort so that what I do contribute is positive and encouraging, making the people and the world around me better. I have learned that how I respond to situations is up to me. I am accountable for the energy I bring into a room. I want, and maybe you do too, to respond with grace, peace, kindness, patience, mercy. I hope that our communication as a community can be uplifting and building others up. I hope that we can be people of peace, letting self-awareness guide our thoughts and able to own our actions.
Lesson number 3. Grief and loss are part of life. Without a doubt, 2020 was a difficult year in many ways. We have lost jobs, stability, routine, and above everything else, our sense of security. We have been greeted by anxiety and worry. As a church, We had to say goodbye to meeting in person, a fundamental part of our normal. But in the midst of all of this loss, we have found hope, an assured conviction that invites us to lean on God. We were able to go from inability, anxiety, and not knowing how to manage this pandemic to developing tools to live by while listening to God in the midst of difficulties. In the words of N.T. Wright, a famous theologian, when we feel we don't have enough explanations for why things happen and don't have any answers, God calls us as a church to lament. It is part of our calling as believers to empathize with the suffering world, to draw close to pain, and stand beside our neighbor. During this time, God has invited us to reorder our hearts, to prioritize our interests, and to draw closer to Him. Lament is the answer when faith becomes difficult. Even so, God has helped us to adapt, to be creative, to expand our ways of doing church, and above all else, to stay in tune with suffering. We have learned to grieve together. We have learned how to live in pain together, opening our hearts, listening, and walking alongside one another. Psalm 18 verse 2 says, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." The Lord is our stronghold. When desperation overwhelms us, He is our refuge, our protection. Let's rest in God, His love, and His control during this time of uncertainty and difficulty.
Lesson number 4. Silence is our friend. Throughout 2020, we have experienced a lot of silence. Many of us have had to stay home, alone, and we've discovered how much we miss the noise of normal life. Activities, social events, and birthday parties are all things that we've had to change or be canceled. We have realized we don't have as many places to go or people to talk to, and we find ourselves disliking that stillness and silence. Something we have learned is that silence is actually our friend. Jesus invites us to the quiet place where we can actually hear Him and experience His presence, which never leaves us. Even when He was alive on earth, His followers struggled to appreciate the silence. In Mark 6:31, it says, "Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, He said to them, 'Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest.'" Rest. Without silence and stillness, physical and mental, it is impossible to truly rest. We've also learned to appreciate silence during our weekly Zoom connections. Even in a small group, we need the time and space to think and process our thoughts before speaking. Silence is our friend. We have come to love the mute button, to let others speak, to hear ourselves think, and to allow conversation to flow while letting everyone have a voice. In this new year, we need to continue to make space for the silence, to contemplate in order to not miss the little details and the beauty of daily life, to rest and allow our brains and hearts to be still, to learn how to listen to others, and to grow through processing our thoughts and experiences and maturing into who we want to be.
Lesson number 5. Let's continue being a community who listens. Along with the active search for silence as a spiritual discipline, we need to focus our efforts in deciphering those subtle messages that God gives us through His Spirit and our neighbor. It is so important to listen. Let's not only listen to opinions that we can later contradict. Let's not listen because we have to share our time to talk with others. And let's not listen because it's the correct and polite thing to do. Listen because we believe that we all have and must have a voice. This is a tangible and practical reminder that each one of us was created in the image of God, and we all have the same value to Him. No matter your country of origin, your social background, if you have an important job, or if you're currently unemployed. Each one of us has a unique voice, shaped by our life experience and our unique relationship with God, and what He has done in it. At Christ Church, we're not lacking in incredible life stories worthy of movies. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 3, we find this text. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Let's consider others as more valuable than our ego or vanity, bigger than our desire to have control or be right. Let's actively think of things we assume about others that we need to change. As we transform our way of seeing life and of thinking about the people around us, we get closer to what God wants and expects of us. These months have allowed us to enjoy the incredible richness in our community through hearing others' opinion and sharing experiences. The invitation before us today is that we continue being a community known for being a place where everyone has a voice.
Lesson number 6, consistency is key. It's the little things over time that make the biggest impact. Have you ever heard the phrase, good things take time? It's true. In order for something good to take root, to grow, we need time. We need to show up consistently and honestly, allowing our true selves to be known. In 2020, there were many courses offered at Christ Church. Emotionally healthy spirituality, emotionally healthy relationships, the marriage course, Bible project, Luke, to name a few. I hope that you participated in some of those. Little things over time make the biggest impact. Deciding to attend a Bible study weekly is one big step, but actually setting aside that time and keeping yourself disciplined by attending is the second step that makes the difference. I've had to learn this one hard truth, and I need to say it to you today. You do not have to be perfect before being present. We don't want perfect people in our groups. We want people who are there, who are growing, who are committed to positive change and to loving each other. Don't let your pursuit of perfection get in the way of your being fully present. In our personal lives and spiritual lives, this is essential. Hosea 6:3 says, "Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to know Him. As surely as the sun rises, He will appear. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth." First, we must acknowledge, know that He is near and wants a relationship. Second, we must press on and continue to ask, seek, and knock. Consistency is key in this life. There is always more hope, more to learn, and more to everyone's story. Let us press on then together and trust in God's perfection to keep us present and growing.
These are some of the lessons we have learned throughout this year, which has marked us. It's impossible to close out this stage of our lives as part of the pastoral team without thanking everyone who made this dream possible, especially those who supported us financially and spiritually. Thank you to each one of you for believing in us and for loving us so well. God's faithfulness is immense, and we can attest to that. We are trusting Him.
Isaiah 26:12 says, "Lord, you establish peace for us. All that we have accomplished, you have done for us." There is nothing and nowhere like Christ Church. We love you and we will miss you. You never know, we may see you again very soon. Remember, you were made on purpose and with a purpose. Have a wonderful week.